looks like I'm live. Can you make a comment just to see if my chat's working, please? Oh, and when you're up next, can you grab me a drink of water, please? G'day. Just getting things sorted. Pretty much ready to go. I don't have any questions that have come in through the email, so we're up for questions on the chat. So are you typing in a chat? Just so I know that's working. Okay, yeah, Zai's chats came in. So, g'day. I'm not sure who's watching at the moment. That's saying no. Yeah. G'day. Say g'day, whoever's there on the chat. And please throw us a question. While I'm waiting for questions to come in, I am going to just have a little bit of a rundown on what we've been doing for the month. Firstly, there was a comment come in. Thanks, Wanda, for your comment on the Q&A emails. Thanks for your gratitude. It's our pleasure to have that course there, and hopefully that you gain good information that you can put into practical use. I'm in a different location. Normally, I'm over there. How do I point at that? Over there. With that picture in the background, but I get a little bit sore. In regards to my injury, I'm functioning a lot better, but I do get a bit sore. So this lovely recliner helps to relieve a bit of tension in my back after doing some physical. What was the physical? Yesterday, I had a request, and directly as I might have to duck off, we have someone coming to pick up some banana suckers. So someone is setting up a syntropic system. So it's been beneficial to us of late, the last season or so, providing banana suckers for people to set up their syntropics in the local area. And so, yeah, someone's turning up to get some banana suckers in due course, in another half hour. So I'll have to duck off and make sure they're organised. So yeah, I dug them up yesterday, and that's pulling is something that exacerbates a bit of pain. So pushing is fine, pulling is hurtful. So there was a bit of pulling, and today we put some wood chips. A little while ago, someone had some camphor laurel, local tree, invasive species here is camphor laurel, and they had some large camphor laurels in a inconvenient position on their property. So they had loppers come in to take the trees down, and then they chipped it up, and so they have quite a few cubic meters of wood chip sitting there, and it's free mulch. So we went off this morning to get some of that. So we've reset section 3 and section 4 in the syntropic, which is probably well overdue, but still that's fine. That's going to be productive. So we reset them, replanted them with so weeded, mulched wood chip with fine wood chip, and this other wood chip that I'm getting, this camphor laurel, is quite coarse. Oh, don't move. There we go. And so we're using it in the paths to minimize weeds, to bring in accumulated organic matter and biomass in that form, and mulch the paths. So it was lovely today, but there was a bit of shoveling involved, so that affected me a little bit, but that's okay. And I'm very happy to get that done. I've got to get another load tomorrow. We have some volunteers here helping, so that was great to get that done today. And yeah, so it's good to get this syntropic in a bit of production there. We've done one section has had a trellis system set up for a shade cloth. So that's section 3. So we've utilised that. It actually hadn't been planted this season, so we've planted that out with some salads and some greens and eggplants and capsicums and it'll be relieved with this. We have put in some carrots. I'm not certain how well they're going to go because it's a little bit late, but with the shade cloth, it might be right. And in the fourth section, we put in rock melons and um, watermelons, and there is also in there from previously planting sweet potato and cassava. So the sweet potato and cassava need a bit more time, so this reset will help push them along, hopefully. And we gave them a little bit extra compost as well, feed them up. And now we just got to keep the irrigation up. We've been getting reasonable rains. However, in this last month, we had so our month of November, we've had less rain than it's usually gets, and so we got a little bit dry 2 weeks ago, which surprised me. I wasn't really expecting that because of the season the season and year that we've been having, which have been quite damp. Seem to always be getting some rains coming in. Well, it was the driest it was for the whole year, so 2 weeks ago. However, we got 40 odd mil of rain, and that's freshened everything up. And so things are starting to move along growing wise, because we've got some pretty good moisture there. However, it was pretty hot today and yesterday. We're in the mid 30s, and so it's pretty warm. We had a bit of wind, however, it's quite humid, and so things are growing really well. We're just probably going to need to get some more moisture in another week just to keep the flush occurring. The pastures are going great. Conveniently, luckily, or with good design, I backed off the numbers of the cows on the property, and the cow situation is going really well. The pasture's getting ahead of them. The cows are going quite fine. The heifer's looking great. She's pregnant, looking very well. We've got to wait another 2 weeks or week and a half, and we'll find out whether our main cow has got pregnant with that last joining, and which would be very cool if she is. Not all the indicators are that she is, but we will know if she cycles in the next week or so. What else have we been doing? I've just started getting back into the extension roof out the back of the main house, and so I just started preparing on that today. We'll get the posts up and things like that. But the other main thing I did, and very happy to do, which is something that's been waiting for a long time to happen, been talking about all year. I've made a few excuses, been a bit too wet, but I eventually got the excavator going and got up into the big swale and rose the mound of it, because we had way too much water come over there in that big event that occurred back in late February, early March. And so I'm very pleased that I managed to get the machine in there and got it done. We sort of dried out a little bit. We did have a little bit of rain, but it could still function in there. And I've raised that. What's the word I want to use? I'm still apprehensive that the water's going to go over the top in a really big event, because the water can't channel along. So I've sort of opened it up a bit. I've degrassed it, which is probably an issue. Pushed bushes back that might have been limiting the water flow. So I've opened it up a little bit wider, because the water's got to travel along the swale to get out the spillway. And then I've raised the mound, and I put a laser level on the mound, and then put measurements and pegs to get that height. And then I've added a little bit more, and we'll find out in due course whether it's going to be adequate. Maybe this wet season, we'll see, because the word is that we're going to get a bit of rain. So that was my big achievement for the month, is to get that swale done. I've had a little bit of trouble with the excavator after that job. I've been in another swale that had a bit of deposit, erosion deposit come into it. I've still got to do a bit of that, but I had a little bit of trouble with one of the tracks, and it's nearly rectified, conveniently, and I just need to find a bit of time to get up there and get into that, amongst all the other tasks that are at hand. Gardens, the main kitchen garden's looking pretty good. Glenn stays on the property. He's been in there several days a week, mostly his attention with a little bit of assistance from us. which is fantastic to have him enthusiastic and applying himself into that garden. And it's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's looking great. So that's good. He is hesitant to water very much, and I get apprehensive because our clay cracks and very well. It cracks like lots, and once it cracks, it's really hard to get it wet again. And I'm a bit apprehensive he's not watering enough, so I snuck in the other week and put some water on in that dry spell. And I'm just going to keep an eye on that because I might have to keep that. He has reasonable autonomy in there, but I don't want to be pushy and shovey and let him be happy in there and yeah, just keep that moisture up. Hopefully we get some rain soon. That'll sort that out. Okay, we've had a comment here. Helen is asking, "Hi, can I use wood chips in my swales? Would I need to put burnt logs to lay first?" So in the swale ditch, yes, you can put wood chips in. That's a great idea. It's organic matter, and then you'll get less evaporation, and somewhere for the ecology to start. And it stops grass and weeds growing. So that's fine to put wood chip in there. It will depend on how much flow you have. If the wood chip's going to stay there, it should stay there. It should be fine. My swale is the issue for my swale is that it is a redirection. I guess it's redirecting the outflow instead of the outflow coming around the edge of the dam and going into the original valley. It's actually being moved along the swale twice, once to the east and once to the west. So the spillway on each swale, they have to go about 150 meters along the swales before they spill. And so if it can't flow fast enough along there, then it could build up and go over the swale mound, which is what occurred. In hindsight, from building the swale, we never actually put the level on the swale mound, and it wasn't quite high enough, particularly in one section, and that's where inconveniently that comes down. The water, if it does go over there, which has happened 3 times that I'm aware of, and it comes down and hits the back of the chickens area, so it causes a lot of issues at the chickens. So not convenient at all to have that occur. And then there's washes through the chicken jars, floods them for a period of time, and then washes all that nutrient away, and then that causes other issues further down in the property. So the food forest whale obviously breached because there's just way too much water coming down for its capacity. It can only really handle the valley, not the valley below the dam and swales. It can't handle any more than that. And of course, once it breached, it breached big time. Okay, Helen, I think go for that with the wood chips in. So your word is comment is in the swale. So yes, you can do that. Also organic matter, and that helps to stop the weeds. I haven't put wood chips in mine. It's a bit of a shame to have done what I did because there's not quite a nice ecology occurring in the swale bottom of the swale. But I actually needed to dig some material out, so the swale is actually a little bit deeper. I need to dig material out. I tried to go wider, but it's very shaly and hard work to do that. I did a little bit, maybe 300 mil, maybe only 200 mil really, to go wider to give more flow. But I need the material to put on top of the mound, and so I dug a bit deeper, which means I disturbed all the ecology. I don't think it's going to take a long time for that to come back, because when the swale was first dug, the bank above the mound was pretty much bare, and so there was no vegetation. Now there's ice cream beans and there's vegetation on the bank, and so that will drop litter pretty quickly and get a bit of an detritus in the bottom of the swale, and then that'll start, and there'll be grass seeds. It's not a nasty grass; it's just a pretty gentle grass, which is fine. But I will need to regularly go in there, more regularly, obviously, than I did, and knock the grass back because I have to get that through flow because it is redirecting the water flow. Now, someone might comment that, what are you doing redirecting the water flow? It's supposed to stay in the original water course. It actually comes back to the original water course at lower in the property. So I haven't done anything technically incorrect there. Okay, now, Azai, did you have any comments to add in for the last month? Not really. No, everything's fine on that side of things. She did have a comment before we came online that whoever's been doing the design, doing the online course, we're not seeing very many designs coming in. Assignments for the assignments, which is so they're probably getting the information but not actually applying it, which is their choice. That's something wrong, but I'd really like to see some of those. Give me something to do in the evenings, checking those out. But yeah, that's been pretty quiet on assignments coming in. So we would like to see assignments, just to know that people are actually getting to the end of the course and not just the start. And because we don't have much a way of determining that that's occurring. Um, Anything else I need to comment on? What have I covered? Everything I've done for the month, Zai? If you've been listening. Um, Zai went away for a little bit. Was that yeah? Is that in this October? November? No, so that was one before. You were back already. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and Zai's been doing a couple of gigs, which has been good. A couple of gigs, and we had an event here. That's right. We had Permeco. Permeco put on Permafest here, so I did an introduction to permaculture over 2 days, and Zaya, her band performed in the evening of the first day, and we did a farm tour, um, a marimba workshop, and a farm tour I did on the second day. We had a good turnout for the tour, and also all of it actually. We had a reasonable turnout, and so it was quite a pleasing weekend, and we enjoyed doing that. So it's called Permafest, and I guess we'll be doing that again at some point. Not sure when. We haven't. Say it again. Sorry. A yearly thing, maybe not twice yearly. Don't know about that. We'll see. Yeah. Um, yeah. The property's going pretty good, as I've been explaining. We're having. Oh, we got another one. Okay, Haley, that's great to see that. Because yeah, we want to get some assignments in, as I was just commenting. I'm glad you're enjoying the course. Did I mention about there was a Canadian woman that was very happy with the course, and the comment came through, which is good. It's nice to have that feedback that people are enjoying. I'm a bit curious because it was a little while ago that it was recorded, and it's still functioning. That's a bit surreal for me, but that's great that it's still functioning and still doing. Linnea is doing it here as she's volunteering, and occasionally I hear myself, and which is embarrassing. But I comment to myself, "Oh, I think I got that right when I said that." So that's interesting because it was a couple of years ago. So I've experienced a bit more, I guess, in the last couple of years, and you're always curious as to what my delivery was 2 years ago. So, and also, it was a bit interesting delivery because I didn't have a full class to deliver to. Okay, I need some questions. That's what I really need. It's just something to get my teeth into. Um, I'm a little bit puffed out actually because it's been quite hot the last couple of days. But so my brain, I'm not thinking so well. But I'm just trying to think what we're doing. I'm way behind on grass cutting. My back hasn't enjoyed the whippersnipper, so but I did some and it worked okay. So that's good. I'll get back into that. Challenging to get back onto the whippersnipper because if it's been a while, then the twine gets chewed up, and I don't like leaving plastic everywhere. So I've been going back to the blade, and that's a little bit more exerting to use the blade. I like using the blade, but I don't. They wear out because of the stones. We have too many stones. Um, and so I'm trying to get back on top of that and get the place a bit tidied up in that way. And we need mulch. It's great having Glenn in the garden. He's needing mulch, and so that's putting the pressure on me to. You need these little things to entice you to get projects done. And like now we're in yam, we're a bit late on yam processing. The yams are already growing, and so it takes a bit of effort, like 2 hours maybe, one person 2 hours to fill the dehydrators with the yam, and so someone has to dig yam ahead of, and that's a bit tricky. So I've been digging. Dug a bit of yam today, but it's great to get the yam happening. I think have we got 20 kilos of yam flour yet? So not quite. It won't be far away with 20 kilos of yam flour. So that might be Joel. Yeah, I can hear Vic. Oh, say it again. What's the time? He shouldn't be far away. Yeah. Any tips for white butterfly, which probably is the white cabbage moth? Heidi, I'm not exactly sure where you are, so if you want to elaborate. So any tips for white butterfly? So it we have them floating around, but we're not having much issue with them. What happens in your permaculture garden is permaculture design garden is you slowly. Oh, in Kinkin. Okay, thanks, Haley. Sorry. Um, we met Haley at the markets. Is that Haley? Oh, okay, lovely. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, we had the Kinkin markets on weekend. Yes, thank you. And you did join in. Excellent. Um, it's the diversity. So it's a little bit tricky in your early days of a permaculture garden. Zaya reminded me. Thanks, Haley. So because you don't have the diversity and everything's a little bit boring, if I may say. So the first couple of years we had issues with the white cabbage moth, but now they're there, but we don't have so much issue because we have diversity. So we don't have brassicas, your cabbages or your broccolis or kales or whatever in a row of singular species. We mix it up. So what you're doing, you got to make it hard work for the cabbage moth. Because if he finds a row of cabbages, he's just going to love it. He just goes from one to the next to the next. But if it's boring, if it's not boring, if it's diverse, so you want diverse color, you want diverse smells, you want diverse height. So to make it all a bit crazy, and that's why we get the all beds are mixed up and they're mixed into the beds. It doesn't. It's not super great for harvest in the commercial way because it's easy if you just got a straight tricky for the cabbage moth. The other thing is going back to my study learning in biodynamics is the comment is that the only plants that should get hit by pests are plants that are not healthy, and so it's nature's tool to remove the unhealthy plant, and that's encourages better genetics. So the healthy plants will seed off, and the unhealthy plants won't seed off because the pests have removed them. So why they're unhealthy is because your soil conditions aren't right. So as you get further into the soils chapters, you'll get a little bit comprehension of what that's all about. And then so how do we rectify the situation is by making compost. And so you keep getting into working on quality. You have intent for quality compost with diverse materials in the compost making to bring in more minerals, to bring in um, different, like different nitrogens, different diversity, and then that builds better soil. So it brings in better ecology. The more diverse materials in your compost, the more that it will attract diverse bacteria and fungi, etc., to work on that. So that's that nature's tools at work. You're encouraging nature's tools to work, and so you just keep making compost. So I don't focus. I really like that saying that Gabe Brown uses. Don't focus on what you don't want. focus on what you do want. So I want better soil. So I don't put any energy. Initially, I did put a bit of energy into squeezing the caterpillars of the cabbage moth, but once we got things moving along a bit, I just keep focusing on making a better compost, and then you have a better soil, better mineral availability, etc., etc. Better water holding capacity, more air in the soil, so it's not anaerobic soil, it's aerobic soil. So that all comes as you encourage that, and then that makes your minerals more available because nature does that. Nature knows to make better mineral availability. You can only do it if the conditions are right, and a lot of your weeds are trying to make the conditions right. And so, when you do have your weeds coming in your garden, you compost those weeds because they're nature's tools. So there might be minerals in those weeds. They might be doing a mechanical work in the soil, but also they'll be bringing in minerals because nature's not going to be silly. It's going to use whatever tool it can that's going to do the best job. Multifunction tools, and then that will improve your soil, and then you have better mineral availability. You're going to have better, more nutritious food, and the bugs aren't going to attack those foods because it is healthy, and it's got better cell structure, it's got better protections, etc., etc. And so that's my tip. So, which doesn't really help you out today with your butterfly, your cabbage moth, or whatever it might be. But that's where you need to get to. So focus on that more. In the meantime, just go out there and squeeze the grubs, and you can make up some sprays. Yes, I did make sprays up the first a couple of years or a year or so, to just because I needed food. I needed to obtain a yield. It might not be the most nutritious food because going back to the concept, the statement behind the biodynamics, that it's not healthy. We need to get a return. It's going to be a healthier food than what you might be getting off the supermarket shelf because it's probably got pesticides thrown at it and synthetic fertilizers. So it's going to be a healthier food for you to consume than that. Um, and then just keep on your journey in that direction. That's what you need to do. Okay, you made another comment. Yeah, just starting out. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I've got some compost coming a lot. Working with nature. Let's do it. Let it do its thing. Excellent. Thanks, Haley. That's perfect. So well done. Don't discourage. Every new garden is going to have those problems until we can get into the and it's going to take time. You can accelerate that soil. You can put a lot of effort in, or finance, or resource into getting better compost. Or you can have your basics and just plug away. It depends on how fast you want to get there. If you're desperate for very nutritious food, do soil tests and go to the right guys and get the right recommended additives. But I don't like, even though it might be organic, coming from a reputable source of organic supplies, I like to set up a system that you've continually got compost coming in that's going to benefit your soil. So our cows, if I keep improving the cow pasture, that's where my manure is coming from, which ends up into my garden via the biodigester, etc., etc. Not that the biodigester puts anything into it; it just comes through the biodigester. But then the chickens process, and we add other stuff to that, which is just resources that we have available to us, not bags of fertilizer, and then that's the system that is building our soils. And when we want to work with nature, the three things which I'll reiterate again is biodiversity, which I've been harping on about. So diversity is the critical thing. Biodiversity, biomass, and so your support species are going to bring in lots of organic matter, and your surface material from plants. So it's your biomass. So don't waste any biomass. So get that back into, and it's called an accumulated organic matter. So biodiversity, biomass, and accumulated organic matter. So that is what nature works with. Nature cannot work without that, and that's what it needs to work. And so the more that you encourage that. So I'm bringing in wood chip today, which is a waste product that someone's got sitting in their property. Not they don't want anymore, which is crazy. I'll be using it at home, but they don't want it. They don't have the concept. So it's accumulated organic matter, and some people wouldn't touch it because it's camphor laurel. I smelled it today. It's been sitting there for 4 months, probably 3-4 months. maybe even no, I don't think it's 5 months, and I can't smell the camphor anymore. So it's done its thing. It's a big pile. It would have got hot on the inside, and so it's done a little bit of a cook. It wouldn't be an extreme cook, but it can't smell the camphor, so it's going to be a um, perfect. It's going to be adequate. I don't know if it's that perfect because I would have liked to see diversity in there, not just one species. But next time we'll be using a different material, ice cream bean or whatever it might be around the place. Okay, Helen. Talking minerals with young food forest is a good idea to add all rock minerals. I mean, sandy soil, South Burnett. Sandy soil is a tricky one, Helen, because it's lack. It's is minerals. Its main lack in sand soil is minerals. So yes, rock minerals, rock dust is great. Now you would have some minerals, not just silica with the sand. Um, So some rock dust materials, Natramin material. I think there's 3 products of Natramin. I wouldn't know. I haven't had a look for a long time. Um, there might be one more applicable to your sandy soil. So if you've got a base soil test or idea, or there'd be someone locally that have an idea of what that soil. Someone would have done a test somewhere along the line, your neighbour or someone down the road or whatever, or someone in the shops have an idea, and then so there'd be rock minerals, rock dust that you can use that would be more applicable to that soil. Your pH could be interesting as well. With a young food forest, a good idea. Yeah, I think it is. And then it's organic matter, because the challenge with sandy soils is it's leaching. It's large particles, so the water runs through very quickly, so the minerals leach very quickly. So you need to get organic matter. So that comes accumulated organic matter, which I've just been talking about. The accumulated organic matter will build soil in time, and it'll become a little bit loamy, or it'll get that darkness into it. It won't be a loam soil because it doesn't have the right attributes to be so, but it's organic matter that you need to work hard with. Some people will add clay to a sandy soil, and that's a big task to do that. It depends on the scale that you're on, because the clay is full of minerals, and then it has more chance to hold, and your cation exchange increases, and it holds the minerals and nutrients there better. But if that's out of your resources to do so, then just organic matter. So find whatever species, support species, and just keep growing them, keep growing them. And once you've introduced them, if they're the ones, nature will use them, and so they just keep growing. And my main one here, which I know one guy not far from here says, I'll never plant another ice cream bean because they're just crazy. We can't keep up with them. I said, well, that's why I want to use it, because that's what nature wants to use. It's the one that nature really wants to work with here, and so I'm going to use it. There is some ice cream beans here that have died. I'm not sure why, but generally they go ballistic. So yeah, I'm going to work with that. Hope that helps, Helen. And that those support species, that's your biodiversity. So you're going to have your food forest plants, and then your biodiversity of the support species, and just be observant, see what grows really well nearby, see if it's in the shape, form, and function, if you can understand the function of how it can help you, and if nature wants to work with it, and you're happy to work with it. Nature likes working with lantana. I don't like working with lantana, so I don't work with it. I've got plenty of lantana in the forest doing its thing as it's regenerating, and as the forest gets established, the lantana is going to disappear. So yes, I am working with it in that way, but I don't bring it into my food forest. It's not very pleasant to work with, and so I eradicate that. I just suppress it. I wouldn't say eradicate. I shouldn't say eradicate. So yeah, just one of the ones I work with a lot is mugwort. I've overdone it with the mugwort, but it doesn't matter because it's building biomass. Same as ice cream bean, building biomass. Ice cream bean is great because it's a nitrogen fixer. Well, I use the mugwort because it drops lots of leaves, and it actually suppresses grass coming in because it shades it right out. You just got to be a bit cautious that it doesn't shade out your fruit trees and things like that. Yes, just see how they go, Helen. The ice cream beans, and I'm not sure how your rainfall's been. How'd you go with Joel? Yeah, good. Where's my money? Um, yeah, just see how they go in that sand, and it might not be now. On that topic, I've planted, which some people get a little bit questionable about, is I've planted leukemia here, expecting it to be a great legume biomass plant, and it really is. It's nearly pathetic in its behaviour. It's alive, but it's creating foliage is pathetic. So I'm going to I have a contact to get some Suspania. He's several couple hundred kilometres north of here, and Sesbania has been going ballistic. I had a look in the garden there when we visited, and it was going ballistic. So I'm going to actually trial that. It might not work here; it's a different soil type there, but it might be the climate that's needed here. It might suit. But he's getting heaps of biomass off his Sesbania, and so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Because the Lucina is really not performing. I know around here leukemia is a big problem. In many places in Queensland, it's a big problem, but it hasn't performed for me. So there's something unique about this place that nature doesn't want to work with it. So okay, fine, don't force it, and let it go, and move to something else and see how we go. This is Spain. Yeah, so much more rain they've had than normal. But that's going to be a challenge on your sandy. Hang about, make sure I'm on the right thread. Yes, sandy soil with lots of rain, so your mineral content's going to be down. Hello, Tracy. So you see that? Tracy's put a question in. Josie has a. I'm not sure where Nikki is. Is Nikki home yet? No, so she's still in Gympie. So that's a friendly neighbours, local, seeing what's going on. Yeah. Okay, thanks Helen for those questions, and thanks Haley. And throw some more, or I'll get boring. I don't think there's anything else I need to comment on the property. On how it's going. We're I have started a bit of chop and drop. I might have mentioned it last month. We started a bit of chop and drop. There was a section that was way overgrown mugwort, and 18 months, 2 years behind schedule a reset, chop and drop, and that went well. It's going away again now. I was a bit apprehensive because we had that dry spell, and we've done a chop and drop just in coming into a dry spell. Everything's going okay. When I was getting the banana suckers, I've done a fair bit of trimming back on the bananas, but it's quite moist and humid, and I really don't think our wet season's very far away. So I'm not so apprehensive. I'm not expect to have several months of severe dry. All the indicators are we're going to keep getting wet for this season. So I'm allowing myself to get a little bit early on chop and drop. One reason being because I'm always behind the 8 ball on chop and drop because we just got so much to do. Some of the food forest now doesn't need so much attention because it's matured to the point of getting canopy, and the support species are phased out, and so that means I've got time to do other areas. So that's cool. That's great. But yeah, I want to try and keep on top of it. We got a big flush. I'm expecting a big flush year, so I'm moving towards that. It's been a bit annoying. I haven't been physical of late, but we are slowly just keeping on top of a few things. And ice cream beans, we're getting a little bit more aggressive with. We've been using ice cream beans a lot for goat forage, and so now if it's a little bit tricky, we just get the chainsaw and lay into it. It doesn't matter because we've got so much ice cream bean for forage coming on, and so we can just use that as a bit of chop and drop extra material, not an issue. So allowing ourselves to get a little bit more aggressive with our harvest of the ice cream bean. Mulberries have done their thing, and we were we were down on our mulberry harvest this year because our two best trees fell over. Both planted must be the same time, so the rot got in and they fell over. So the mulberries, we need to plant more mulberries because it's a great plant. There is a few young ones that are just coming on, so that'll be great in the next couple of years. And hopefully, I can replant the ones that fell over. One suckered well. I think I'm going to have to replant the other one. And because why am I talking about the mulberries? Because they're in full flush, and pretty soon they're a strange plant because they don't hold the leaves for the full summer. So they're going to they're in full flush of leaf now. The fruit's finished, and then they'll lose them. So I'm starting to get aggressive in the getting the forage for the goats. So we're doing twice a week now with the mulberry, giving it to the goats because we're going to lose the leaves anyhow. So it'd be great to get it into the goats. The goats are going good. The goats are looking very healthy, and yeah, they are nice and shiny coats. Probably the shiniest coats I've seen on the goats. So our programs of rotational management is looking really good, really positive. Our numbers seem to be suitable. Might have had too many if we had a dry, but because we haven't had a dry, the numbers have been really good. And we've still got a bit of goat chops in the freezer, so that's really good. And yeah, and as the young ones, our 4 kids come along, grow up, then we can take out one of the older ones. So yeah, the animals looking good. The cows and the goats. The chooks, we've got too many chickens, so we put 5 in the freezer yesterday, and so that's good to have the chicken production. And I haven't got anywhere with my fencing because I've been out of action, but good, so we haven't managed to get the pig program in place. Guys would really like me to do that. We're that's there. If we don't get a lot of rain yet, we can probably start on that fencing. I've got a lot of other fencing repairs to do, and a little bit of a cow electric fence to put in. I've got the materials. I just need a bit of time and effort to go into that. And also, I'm pretty keen to keep this building because if we're going to have another wet, a lot of mud around, and I'm a bit behind on concreting paths, and also extension of the back of the house to keep the rain off the back of the house. So we've got a bit more room. That section is working really good. We've got a new area for the dairy, which is great. With the milk process and stuff, but sometimes when it's raining, we're getting a bit affected. So I want to get that roof up. So that's hopefully going to happen pretty soon. And yeah, apart from that, everything else on the property is going really well. I did a little bit of a bee harvest. The bees are picking up. They got a bit of a flogging with our wet. But they're picking up, and I need to probably get up. I can smell honey this afternoon, so I'll probably need to do a honey harvest and reassess with our new hive. I think they're sorted. That they still might be doing a bit of cross combing and just need to be reassessed on that. But all in all, going well. Property's going well, and personnel are functioning well, so it's all good. So I might wrap up for today. Thanks for the few comments and questions, people. I appreciate you being part of it and being there. And yeah, all good. So excellent. Thank you. And I'm very comfortable in my lounge chair. I might keep doing it in my lounge chair. Just don't look too hard at my electrical wiring there. That's all. That's a bit embarrassing. Temporary job too long ago. Okay, thank you, people. Nice to touch base, and we'll talk again next month. Cheers. Thank you.